Hey guys, it's Brad. Welcome to Brad's World, where normally we talk about real estate and buying houses and doing housing tours, as you well know.
Oh, yeah.
I want to introduce my friend Victor Briere. And Victor came to Italy on the hardest, I understand, the hardest type of visa to get, which was
The self-employment visa.
yeah, and that is not a remote work visa. That is something different.
Right, yeah.
So, can you explain the difference?
From what I understand, the difference is a self-employment visa gives me the ability to work in Italy. I had to apply. I had to do a very specific application showing that I had a history of the type of work I was doing here. But for my field in particular, there was no type of work for that here, which is Ayurvedic medicine. So my immigration lawyer from Italy advised me to apply as a life coach. So I applied as a life coach and I could show a history of counseling. And I created a little mini business proposal. It was like 2 pages or something like that, which my lawyer helped me do, and submitted that. And then once I got to Italy, I decided to maintain my own field. But from what I understand, you can pretty much just work in whatever capacity you want.
Okay, so what drove you or what inspired you to leave the United States pretty much permanently, but maybe not, but pretty much permanently, at least for the foreseeable future, under 40 years old? What drove you to leave the U.S., inspired you to leave the U.S.?
I always loved Italy ever since I first came here when I was 19, but I never conceived of moving here permanently. There were a lot of factors. I mean, how long is this video, right?
Yeah.
But basically,
Top three.
Yeah, top three. When COVID hit, my career as an Ayurvedic clinician was just person to person. I didn't do much online work. But when COVID hit, it all went online. And at the same time, I had started a school for my field, and that was a lot online, also in person. But basically, almost overnight, I became capable of making an income anywhere overseas, anywhere with good internet.
Benefits of COVID.
Yeah, one of the
Few.
few benefits of COVID. So at the time, I was married, and we were talking, and she was very interested in Italy too, and we started exploring a little bit, and it was, I mean, it's Italy. It's pretty magical in a lot of ways, and we decided that we were going to go for it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Knowing that you did all this visa application process during COVID, I know that stretched out would have normally been a 3 to 4 month process into more than a year.
Yeah.
But how was the process of applying for that visa?
It was hurry up and wait was the process. So my temperament was a little bit impatient with bureaucratic processes. So the long waiting periods were kind of irritating to me. I wanted to get my life going. I wanted to be where I was going to be. But to other people, it wouldn't bother them. The actual application work was not very difficult. I just worked with a lawyer. He told me exactly what to do. Did it. It's not that hard, not even that expensive. And then you just wait. Just tap your foot, twiddle your thumbs, and then they send you the next part of whatever phase you're in, and you do it really fast, and then you wait.
How much did that lawyer cost you?
That lawyer was overpriced. He charged 5,000 euros per application, and when I got here, I realized that I could have done it for around 2,000 euros, and probably had a better lawyer. Yeah.
When you did the application, you can't just send it in and say, I do this, I'm this. You have to back it up.
Right.
What sort of documentation did you have to have? What sort of numbers did you need to show to be able to get a self-employment visa?
If I remember correctly, I had to show at least 2 years in my field of good experience. They did that by one of the ways they did that was by checking my tax returns to see where I was getting income from. So I had a business in the United States, an LLC, that showed that I was getting money from that particular field by virtue of the tax return. And then they want to see that you have a business proposal, that you have a website, and that you're a real thing. You're not just fabricating an identity. But I don't think they did like major investigation on me.
Right.
Yeah, they wanted to check off the boxes.
Money in the bank? Did you have to show money in the
Had
bank?
to have money in the bank. I believe that was about 15,000 US dollars. Yeah.
Per
Minimum.
applicant?
Per applicant, right. I'm thinking 30 because it was two
Yeah.
of us, but yes, it was about 15,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other than the lawyer that you overpaid, were there any other resources that you used? How did you navigate things besides using him? Any sort of resources, online groups?
I went online and looked at the Italian consulate website in San Francisco because that was my jurisdiction. And it was like a government website. It was a bit hard to navigate, but if you take the time and go through it, you get the gist. And no, I mainly relied on my lawyer. I wish I had had Brad's World.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
When you travel to southern Tuscany, come and stay with us in Montepulciano in our 17th century fully remodeled apartments. Our apartments can sleep between 1 and 10 people with prices starting at less than 100 euros per night. We'll see you soon. What are some of the pitfalls that you faced, misconceptions maybe that you had, that you can help people avoid?
Yeah, the biggest frustration for me, the biggest misconception is that my lawyer said, "Oh yeah, this is a piece of cake. It's going to take 4 to 6 months." It took almost 2 years, and part of that was because of COVID. But there's more of that story. The reason it took longer because of COVID is because he knew a very particular person who worked in the immigration office in Siena, but that person went on leave because of COVID. And so there is this sense of like, it matters who knows who in Italy. You get to know that real fast if you move to Italy. And so because he lost his person, he had to go through normal means. And so he lost his lawyer magic, so to speak. And so that was a big frustration. The other frustration was not understand, and this was my fault. It was not understanding kind of how things get done in Italy. It is more casual than the United States as far as this stuff goes. And so, I was in my kind of like, come on, let's get it done. What's the holdup, and let's do the paperwork and get going and all that stuff. And they just don't have that attitude.
Right.
Yeah, but then when it's time for something to get done, it gets done, and it's just a different cadence to the whole process.
Right. I find a lot of people, especially with getting the Italian driver's license, which we may or may not have already done. I haven't. And people are so worried about what am I going to do on the 366th day? Same thing you did on the 364th day, get in your car and drive somewhere.
Right.
It's not. Things aren't just absolutely in stone. I didn't have my permiso de soggiorno in time. I didn't worry about them coming to my door and taking me away because I overstayed my 1-year visa. They know it's in process. Just relax. I think just relax is a good rule of thumb here.
Yeah, they once they vetted me and vetted my application and gave me the visa, they want us here. They want our tax dollars.
That's right.
And as long as you kind of loosely follow the rules, they're happy to have us.
Right.
Yeah.
People ask me about, I want to come there and I want to write emails, but I'm afraid that would be work. And what if they find, are you going to tell someone? How the hell would they know if you were doing work emails or even working remotely here? While you were here, come for 90 days and you can work remotely.
No,
there's no remote police.
Yeah, I have an American LLC and an Italian SRLS. If I run income through my American LLC, sure, yes, technically they could see it on my tax return when I submit that to renew my visa. It's not, I'm used
not
to...
Not that he's doing that. This would be very clear.
Sure, I'm allowed to do it, right? But I'm saying they're not gonna be like, oh my God, he ran this income through here and this, and we're gonna bust him. Like, it's just so not that attitude.
Doesn't work that way. What were the first things you had to do with this type of visa when you arrived? And I'm specifically interested in finding out about the healthcare aspect, because I believe I'm on the elective residency visa, which means I basically retired into doing YouTube videos.
Sure.
And rental properties like the one we're in today, TuscanPalace.com.
And you don't have to worry about breaching your visa because this isn't real work.
That's right. Not work at all. What were the things that you had to do, but specifically about your healthcare? Because that's so important. Healthcare is so important. You never know.
Right.
You had emergency stuff come up since you
Yeah,
came here.
right.
Tell me about when you got your healthcare, when you got here, how long did it take, blah, blah, blah.
So because of my profession, I don't typically go to an allopathic or Western doctor. I don't go get checkups and all that stuff because I practice an Eastern form of health and yeah, all that. But in an emergency, I go get care, and I had an injury to my eye that I needed to go to the hospital for. So I was blown away. I had not done my homework, which was on me, not Italy, and I hadn't gotten my health card yet or anything like that. So I go to the hospital, and they're like, "Hey, what do you need?" And, they took care of me. And afterwards, they're like, "Okay, let's see your passport. Oh, you're living here, the whole thing." "Okay, great, bye." I was like, "What?" It's like, "How much do I owe you guys?" "Nothing, And I was like, whoa. And so then they said, "But you should go get your health card." And so I did, which didn't cost anything. It took me 10 minutes. Got a little tessera sanitaria, the health.
It came
deal.
within like a month. The hard card I'm talking about.
The hard card came within 8 days, I think,
Wow.
something like that. Yeah, it was just like
Who
lightning.
do you know that I don't know?
Yeah, exactly, right? Well, yeah. So it was super easy. Everything's free, except I did go once, and they were extremely apologetic at the hospital. They said, "There's a thing you're going to need to do. We're going to need to test. It's going to cost you money. We're really sorry." I'm like, "Oh, here, this is what I'm used to. Here we go, right?" "How much?" And, I'm prepared to 15 euros. Yeah, 15 euros. And they were legitimately apologetic for it.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was like, I started laughing, and they were kind of confused. And I was like, I'm from the United States.
And then they said, "Oh, you thought we meant 15,000.
And because the doctors are all salaried, there's no incentive from pharmaceuticals. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work the same in the States. You get time, you get care, completely different experience.
And so you were able, upon arrival, you could have gone and got your tessera sanitaria.
Yes, I should have.
Right away. You should have.
Yes.
We had to wait until we had our permesso di soggiorno, and then got registered with the comune, which we needed, of Montepulciano, which we needed to have the permesso to do first.
Right.
So it basically took us a year, which is why when you do an ERV or elective residency visa, you have to buy insurance for a full year. They want you covered for a full year. Was that a stipulation for your type of visa that you had to get an international insurance policy for a year? Okay.
No.
And so that's the difference.
Yeah.
Someone was asking me just in comments yesterday about why we waited. We didn't have to wait. We did have to wait. And that's why we have to have that insurance policy. I must say, and I will say it to anyone that will listen, the health system in Italy is phenomenal.
It's amazing.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not getting special treatment. We're not getting expat or immigrant treatment that nobody else gets. My wife went in, and she's a cancer survivor. They did a ultrasound on her neck because her thyroid's gone. They wanted to check her neck. They saw something that they were like, They sent her to an endocrinologist the next day. We were at the teaching hospital in Siena. We walk in the room. I thought we were on trial because there was like 5 judges there.
Right.
No, it was 5. There was the main endocrinologist specialist, her partner, and 3 residents. 5 doctors in the room.
Yeah, right. I know. They're fantastic.
At zero cost.
Nothing.
And everything checked out great. So that's the most important takeaway of the story. But
and
healthcare is amazing.
Yeah, I later found out, I didn't notice at the time, but I later found out that basically like Italy is number 2 for ophthalmology in the world.
Wow.
So it was like the best care for free.
Wow.
Yeah, my American mind still can't fathom that. I still look over my shoulder for a bill in the mail.
Here's a fun fact, and I'm always very open with my viewers. I just finished my 2023 taxes. Now, I have tax planning, so I got a lot of stuff taken care of, sold off before I moved to Italy, because I didn't want to have to worry about doing it on two sides of the Atlantic. That being said, I paid less in tax this year in Italy, and I paid income tax here. I paid more than the average GDP income after taxes in Italy. I paid that in taxes.
Right.
here.
Sure.
A lot. In other words, a lot. More than the average person here would ever think of having to pay. It was still less than my insurance premium, only premium in the United States.
Yeah.
So for the cost of just my taxes here, I paid my taxes and I got insurance, health insurance for the whole year,
Right.
everything paid for, versus in the US, it would have just been my insurance, plus I would have still owed taxes.
Yeah, and speaking of taxing, you know, that's a thing all the time when an American comes and we're just chatting about my experience, and they're like, yeah, you know, I would think of moving to Italy, but the taxes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do you think the taxes are, you know? And like,
110%?
yeah, it's like 40 to 60%. I'm like, actually take a look. Don't take my word for it. Take a look. You know, one of the things about the self-employment visa is the first 5 years I'm here, I have a 5% flat tax rate as an incentive to move here. 5%, which it actually doesn't even matter because I have to pay the states the difference.
Right.
Right. You pay the higher.
Right.
And then people are like, well, Italy's going to be the higher. Italy's going to be 60, 70% and all that stuff. It's not. It's the same. It's literally, for my tax bracket, it's literally exactly the same as the States.
I don't know where, I know where it comes from. A lot of it is media stories.
Yeah.
It's like the one about Italy's dying.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Try finding a parking space.
Yeah.
Try finding a parking space at the mall. I'll put a little video right here, guys. Look at it.
Yeah.
I took this video. I'm going to put it up here. This was the mall about a Sunday ago. I couldn't believe how busy it was. And everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people walking with bags. But it was packed.
Yeah, no, Italy is
Parts
far
of
from
Italy,
dying.
some particular villages may have died.
Sure.
But as a whole, it's booming.
Oh,
it's absolutely booming.
Not
here.
a problem.
Side. How has it been here, living here? Expectations versus your reality.
I would say in my case, the reality was better than the expectations. I actually didn't have some crazy fantasies about moving to Italy. So I knew, I was like, oh, this is going to be a fun adventure. It's going to be beautiful. I love everything's very graceful and beautiful here, and it has that marinated, soulful feel. And I was kind of expecting just a good thing. When I got here, the expectations were, the reality was better. My quality of life has gone way up, and just the effect on my nervous system, I didn't even realize some layers of stress I was carrying in the States just by living in that culture.
Right.
It is legitimately different here. You know, not to make it more about money, but financially, it's just way more doable.
Right.
It just is. Moving from California to Italy was like just like doubling your money overnight.
That's right.
Yeah. Real estate, everything. And the quality that I was getting was 110% better for half the price. And that just makes you feel like you're not always, needing to get more and more because I need to get ahead and I need to make sure I have a safety net. And so that went away. The food quality is better significantly.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
But in relationship to explain your type of medicine that you do, because it's interesting. And I think it ties in really good to the quality of the food here and what's not in the food here.
Right.
So what do you do?
I'm an Ayurvedic doctor. Ayurveda is a form of medicine that originated in ancient India. It's still practiced today all over the world. And it's a holistic form of medicine. So we deal with lifestyle, diet, relational aspects, stress aspects of health, all that stuff. And the goal is to generate a level of vitality by harmonizing your life. And, of course, there are herbal supplements and all that stuff that people like to hang their hat on. But it's more than that.
Right.
So that's what I do. I basically help people get healthy.
And how's the food here helping to do that?
Incredible. The food quality here is amazing. Europe in general has higher standards for what they will allow food-wise in the general market.
Right.
And, the Tuscan Valley, there are local farms everywhere.
Everything is farm to market.
Yeah, everything's farm. The farmer's market here is like outrageous.
Have you ever seen pears that look like the pears at the farm? The pears here are like this tall.
Yeah.
All the fruit. It doesn't all look photo ready.
No.
It doesn't all look like
real.
it's been photoshopped.
Yeah.
It's real food. but the size of the pears here, the everything,
Yeah.
the depth of the color of stuff here is like the beef. And I know you don't eat beef.
Yeah, vegetarian.
but you've
I can
seen
still
it.
see it.
Yeah. And it looks like a glass of red wine. Is what it looks like, because it's all, it's grass fed and it's all amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can tell with the grains too, the grains especially. The dairy is way better here. All of it. The food quality is just higher, and of course it's half the price.
Yeah, and it is literally half the price.
Right, so it's better quality. That's the theme. Better quality for half the price.
As I always say about Italy, I say whether it's about living here or the food, it's twice as nice as half the price.
That's exactly right.
That's where we're from, and I hear from my subscribers, because I have half my subscribers are from the U.S. By the way, you're getting. I have your demographics. I know who you are. I don't know your address, but I know more than likely you're between 45 and 70. You make a decent income, a very decent income, and you probably live in the United States, Canada, because I have an English language channel. I hear stories from people in Australia. Sounds horrifically expensive.
Yeah, right. I was surprised at that, but yes.
I mean, people tell me that like in Sydney, you can't find a cracker box house for less than like 1.4 million Australian dollars, which is like 900,000 or $1 million US dollars, is like the basement for finding something.
And same with Canada now too.
Yeah.
Toronto, I just was talking with another couple. They said if we go out to dinner and get anything halfway decent, it's going to be over $300.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know a very well-heeled couple from outside of Mexico City. They have a chain of bakeries, more than 20, and they travel here a lot. And he was telling me that the quality restaurants here in Italy are less expensive than the quality restaurants in Mexico. That they can easily drop 4,000 to 5,000 pesos, which is 200 to 300 US dollars on a single meal out, a good meal out. But stuff that we take for granted here.
Yeah, just I walk out of my palazzo and I walk into the street, and I go down the street and I'm greeted by warms and hugs, and my dog can come and all that stuff, and the whole thing, and it's like great food. And honestly, half the time they just say, don't worry about it.
Yeah, catch us tomorrow. Domani.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll say domani.
Yeah, domani.
Yeah, or just tomorrow.
And they mean it. It's not a front. It's not. They're not trying to that's actually the feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of family.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
you live here.
I live here.
Yeah.
I live in town.
But I must say we live in Montepulciano.
Yeah.
And I must say I hear it from so many people that are visiting here. It's a very different experience coming to Montepulciano, which is a touristy town. Over 1 million visitors a year. We have a lot of restaurants here. For me, it's the right mix, because when you have a town that has zero tourism, you don't have the euro influx to support a bunch of restaurants.
That's true.
We have more than 50 quality restaurants just in Montepulciano.
Yeah.
Restaurants that elsewhere would be like, have you been to Marzocco? Have you been to Porta de Bacco? I mean, really quality. And we have a bunch of them. So I think that mix is important without being overrun. Like, I would not want to live, sorry Siena, but I would not want to live full-time in the Centro Storico da Siena.
No, I wouldn't do that either. Not my favorite place.
Yeah, so because it's overkill. But
Siena is only a 45-minute drive away.
That's
People
right.
forget that. You think Siena out there, but compared to driving in the States, it's nothing. It's less than an LA commute.
Absolutely. Yeah. You can't hardly get to your mailbox in
know,
like
right?
45 minutes.
Yeah.
So you're very happy. You can see it in your face with your move here, your experience here. It's been how long now that you've been here?
I've been here about 3 years, but the first 2 years I was traveling a lot. This has been my first full year here, and it's been the best year.
Right.
Yeah.
But you still need to go to India to do your studying, update things.
Yeah, I bring students to India, so I study there and teach there, and that's part of my program for the educating practitioners. And so I go for 2 to 3 months every year, and I do that in the deep winter here.
Right.
To get a little bit more sun, let's say.
Right. Although I must say, last year the winter never got very deep.
No.
It only reached freezing one night.
Yeah, when
which
I
is
see
scary.
deep winter, just middle of winter.
Yeah, I got you. It does get cloudy and bleakish.
Yeah,
here.
bleakish, but it's not like we're not in deep frost or anything. Yeah.
And what final advice do you have for people that are thinking about if they could, applying for the remote work visa, applying for the self-employed visa like you have, any final advice for people?
I would say, in all seriousness, I would say contact you and get a really good Italian lawyer that's not going to take advantage of your not knowing what the heck's going on. So just a super honest Italian lawyer, of which there are many around here. And just if you have a really solid immigration lawyer, they're going to carry you through the whole thing. It's not going to be a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, that's all great information. So if you want to get in touch with Victor about what he does with his type of Eastern medicine that he practices, learning more about it, becoming a student, traveling to India even to see it, that would be awesome. I really want to get to India one day, but I would only go with someone like you that's been there a dozen times. I'm a world traveler, but I would like to have someone like a tour guide. So
sure.
I appreciate the offers you've given to tag along. If you want to talk to Victor, this is his website, so you can find out about what he does. Or if you want, just go over here to his email, and you can write him directly. And you wouldn't mind taking a couple questions for people about the visa. Yeah, I mean, we're all pretty easy going.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
he's happy to do that. If you have questions for me, go to bradsworld.it. I don't handle immigration. I don't like to even discuss it too in depth with people. It's a very complicated field, that and tax returns, taxation. It's better left to real professionals. I always say, I'm just a guy that got on YouTube. I do know a lot about real estate and buying stuff here. This is one of my properties. We're in Palazzo Avionesi. This palace is what it means, dates from the 1600s, about 1670, more or less, and we own various places here in town. You're welcome to come and stay with us. When you do, you can meet Victor, and more importantly, you can meet the whole town, because it really is a community here. I had a friend of ours, Andrea, who's a very good businessman here in town, tell me, he goes, you're family. You're family now. So I forget, he was doing me a favor as usual, and he said, you're family now, don't worry about it. It's how we treat each other. And that's the kind of warm feeling you get here. So I appreciate the time. They appreciate the time. Thank Victor in comments. I'm sure you'd like to see that.
Hey, of course.
For taking the time today. And we'll see you guys again soon on Brad's World. Ciao.
Ciao.